Ah, the tranquility of the countryside. How's it going, guys? Welcome to another video on my Design and Manage series where we're building the city of Leonor. In the last video we have built this rural area. Let me just get out of here because this water tower is a bit too noisy. And overall I'm fairly satisfied with our creation. I think we can polish it a bit more. Of course, it's never truly complete. And as we unlock tiles nearby, we can polish it a bit more and extend it towards other areas. But today I'm gonna do something different. The city is now at a fairly decent stage. We're making a substantial amount of income, and we are also in need for a lot of building types, so full residential and also commercial. So I think we can extend the downtown center of the city a bit more and develop the core road infrastructure for this developed area. And I'm planning on making this area the core urban center of this entire region, kinda like a city that developed at the shorelines. This is of course a very good time for us to start working on other types of transportation, namely rails. I'm gonna place a regional train station somewhere around this area, and the urban center is gonna develop around it pretty much. So for that we need to unlock trains, and we're also gonna need to unlock quite a decent amount of tiles. So I think I'm gonna unlock these ones, and I also think I'll have to develop towards this area as well. So I'm gonna get this tile as well. We already have this road segment here, this avenue, which I believe will be a good access point connecting directly to the train station. So I think I'm gonna grab 6-lane road. I'm gonna make a connection here just to give us a little bit of room to work with. And this area is gonna need some parking, so I'm gonna grab the modest ones. No, these are too small. I think these moderate ones are adequate for what we're doing. So let me try and center this as much as possible. I don't think that's gonna be possible to align with this road, so I'm gonna just place 2 of these here. And now we can build an access road that curves around these parking lots. And we can even add a small access road here, or a small pedestrian path. Now we can place our train station, but for that we need to place the rail yard first. And yeah, this is gonna be a hassle because I'll have to place it temporarily, so I'm gonna place it outside the city limits with Anarchy, and I'm just gonna place it here for the time being, and I'm gonna disable it so we don't spend the necessary resources on maintaining that. And now we can place our train station, and we have quite a bit of options. We have the normal train station, which would be fitting. Then the medium and small ones, I think these are more fitting of rural areas. We have this thing, the FR train station, which could be an option, but it doesn't center properly here, which is annoying. And we have this one, the historic central station, which I think that's the one we're gonna go for, and it centers perfectly with this layout. So there we go, let's place it, and let's disable it as well, because we're not gonna activate trains for the time being. And with this we can now start planning the rail infrastructure here. I also think I am gonna add this extra platform. We're not gonna need it for the time being, but it will help us plan the rail infrastructure. As for the rail infrastructure itself and the train routes, I'm gonna have the rail extend towards this side, curve it around here, then loop around this mountain and lead towards the downtown area, or what will be the downtown area of the city. Perhaps we can even connect it directly to the regional railroad over here at this end. And on the other side we're gonna continue it towards this region, connect to the regional railroad at around the northern part of the map. So knowing this, I think the biggest concern here is the segments directly adjacent to the train station, because this is where we are going to develop first. So I think that's what I'm going to start with. And I think I'm gonna make a curved rail here. Okay. Now these segments can of course connect directly to the main rails. So let's just disable the guidelines for the time being to make a segment here. Enable them back again, and now we should connect here with no problems. Okay, I believe that works for me. Okay, so we have one side of the train station. Let's work on the other side. So for this side, I'm gonna go and extend here a little bit. And now we can start curving, and I'm gonna use Anarchy for this so that we can work outside the city limits. I'm not gonna develop towards this region, so there's no point in buying an additional tile. I just wanna make the connecting point. Let's see, let me try and use the complex curve. So let's see if I can build something cool here. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty organic and natural looking. That works for me. And now let's connect the other two segments. I suppose this is good enough. With the rail infrastructure done, we can now start working on the road layout that will be built around the train station itself. And for this video, I think I'm going to focus on this side of the layout, and this side can be built on future videos. So let's build one thing at a time. And I think I'm going to start by extending the grids or the layout that we already have, and extend this grid towards this side as well as this one. And I think the challenge here is going to merge these two grids with this road here. But let's start. So let's go 80 meters here. And 80 meters here again, and we should also extend this road. Let's go by another block, I suppose. Connect here, and the avenue can connect here as well. Let's continue on this side as well. And I think I want to sacrifice a little bit of this grid on the right side, so we can add another block on the left side. There's no really rule for this, I'm just going and trying to make something that actually looks good. I believe this road can be an avenue, and we can make a connecting point here. I think in order to make a proper curve, yeah, this is not really pretty. Let me delete all of this. Okay, yeah, I think that's much better. And this road or this avenue can continue towards this direction. Now I have the chance to do something interesting here, which is bring this avenue, this 6-lane, make it go towards the other side of the railroad somehow. And I think I'm gonna make a tunnel. Not a tunnel, but I think I'm gonna make an underpass at around this area. I think the best way for us to do this is use the elevated option here and turn this into an elevated segment. And now we can grab our level terrain tool and let's go down a little bit. So this should be enough. And now I believe we can make our ramp. So I think this is a good place to start ramping. Okay, and now let's go up over here, I suppose. Now let's bring our 6-lane. Okay, so this should be adequate for the time being. Let me just adjust the railroads a little bit, so not all of this needs to be an elevated segment. Let's also make some connecting points. So one here and another one here should be enough. And now let's remove the bridge segments. Okay, cool. And these hills can be adjusted later on. And I believe I want to connect this road to this main avenue. Okay, this should be acceptable. Let's make a small roundabout here. Okay, that should work. Now this road of the grid can continue here, and that will eventually connect to this avenue that we already have. I think we can actually add some retaining walls to this 6-laner. Okay, now that will allow us to extend the land. This would be fine if it didn't create this weird visual glitch, so yeah, I think I'll have to remove the retaining walls on some key locations. So on this side of the train station, I still don't know exactly how I want to progress towards this side, so for the time being I'm just gonna continue the avenue. So we can start splitting here, and let's make a straight road here. And we can split towards this direction as well. This small road that will probably give access to this rural area. I wonder if I can turn this into a small custom roundabout. I believe that would be the way to do it. I think now we have a very good foundation for this part of the city. I think this layout is going to give us a good starting point. Now, before moving on, there are a couple of things that I want to take into consideration, especially when it comes to services. When it comes to education, the elementary school seems to be pretty much in place, but I think I'm going to add some more elementary schools at around this area because we're going to add more residential here. And we also don't have a high school in the city, so that's something that we need to plan ahead because this area will have to accommodate the first city's high school, and there's quite a bit of room or space that we need for that. This area will also probably need its own police station, because it's going to be packed and super dense, and I don't think this small police station is going to cut it. And I think we'll also need to place another clinic or even a hospital. Besides that, we also need to think about mail. We only have one post office, which should be enough for the time being, but I also noticed that I didn't put any mailboxes anywhere in the city, so we also need to work on that. The fire department also needs to have a branch near the train station, because all of those roads are red. And besides that, when it comes to public transport, I think this area next to the train station is also going to be suitable for, I don't know, probably a bus station. Somewhere where people can get off the train and jump into a bus that will take them anywhere in the city. And in order for us to place the bus station, we'll also need to place the bus depot, because that's the warehouse where the buses are stored. So that's another asset that we need to plan and reserve some space for. And since we're on it, why not place a taxi depot as well? So I think I'm going to work on that. I also think I'm going to zone a little bit more and extend Hillside Crest towards this region, because the layout is pretty much done. So yeah, let me extend this area a bit further and I'll meet you guys shortly. I've been working on the city for quite a while now, so let's take a look at what I've done. There's a significant amount of development on this side of town, so I've zoned this entire junction here and expanded Hillside Crest towards the train station. I've used the same zoning technique that I've previously used on Hillside Crest, which revolves around mixing these North American row housing with these North American 2x4s mixed zoning, which I think looks amazing, or at least quite fitting. And I've upped the density quite a bit on these medium avenues, which you can see by the higher density in those locations. This area is adorned with a lot of different assets, such as parks and also parking lots. So for example, the newest edition of the game added these square pocket parks and also these things over here. And we have another example here of these lower density parks, which you can use to fill small gaps, which I think are quite fitting. For example, this little roundabout, or this little custom roundabout, is super rich in parks. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4 different parks just concentrated on one small region, and 5 over here with this one. Then I've also tried to incorporate some of these new small parking buildings, which I think not only fit the area quite nicely, but also facilitate parking. So we have one here and another one on this street as well, and then finally another one here. And of course I've complemented this with other standard parking lots, such as this one, the modest parking lot. In the area where both grids meet, I have this small park, this ring park, and I've also placed this Japanese elementary school, which I thought was the best fitting building for this type of urbanization. And I wanted to mix in quite a bit. I've already have one small elementary school and one city elementary school, and I wanted to do something different, and I found this one, this asset fitted the region quite well. I do need to add more elementary schools, however, because we're still on a deficit, so that's something that we need to focus on later on. Then I have another bigger custom park, which is a combination of 3 different assets, and I think it's a nice breathing area for the citizens. It's a nice contrast with the tall buildings. And here we have this new avenue with perpendicular parking on the sides. This is also a recent addition to the game, and I wanted to use this road, and I think here it fits the region quite well. As for this area, I've increased the number of parking lots next to the train station, and I've added this bus station, which will serve to complement this train station. The train station will serve a more international purpose, and this bus station will serve several routes that will take people anywhere in the city. I've added a custom access point to this bus station. I can still work on it in the future if I find that this generates some traffic, and if this becomes a choking point, I can definitely work on this later on, but for the time being I think it's fitting. I also have a dedicated road or a dedicated lane for the buses, just to facilitate the entrance on this bus station, and of course at the moment both of these assets are turned off because we don't have any public transportation enabled, but that's temporary because I will work on that later on. I had to adjust the orientation for this main 6 lane, which I don't mind. I think it looks quite well. It's a nice break from the grid light structure that we already have, and it makes the whole thing look more realistic, I suppose. Now that I'm looking at it, I think I want to change the trees that are on the middle or in the middle of this road. So I think I'm going to go with these poplars, and I need to click this icon and this option, whole building or network. And I'm going to go with the mature ones. Okay, much better. I've also added other services to serve this area. So here we have a police station, and on this side, on this avenue, we have a Japanese firehouse. The location for these assets is probably not final, but for the time being, they get the job done. As you can see, I've also drawn districts for every single area that we've made, and this will help us understand the necessities of each individual location. So we can see that a lot of these people are complaining about the healthcare coverage. This clinic at the moment is not full, but it's starting to show its limitations, so One of the things that I want to do in the future perhaps is add a hospital to this whole region. Perhaps we can put it here or over here next to the highway for easy coverage, but that's something for another day. I've also done other things outside this district or this region. I've added a lot of facilities that the city was needing. So on this side, for example, we have the park maintenance depot, fully upgraded with garages. Further north, we have the bus depot. This is the place where I've put it because it was sufficiently large for it. It has a decent number of garages. I think this will be enough to fuel the entire city. But at the moment, all of them are turned off because we don't have buses enabled. I complemented the area with some office buildings to increase the number of jobs in the city. And I've also used this transformer station to supply this entire region with power as well. Then on this side, I've extended the residential district towards this region. So this serves as a nice transition point between the suburbs and also the farms. I try to remain loyal to the existing layout that we had, and I think it gets the job done. It doesn't really look out of place. And zooming in, this is where I have placed the taxi depot with a decent number of garages. At the moment it has 105 taxis and they're all being used, so perhaps we'll have to build another taxi depot in the future, as this is not enough. On the other side of the road, this is where we have the road maintenance depot, which is another type of building that the city was lacking, and we often had a lot of traffic accidents due to poor road conditioning, and hopefully this building will help address that. I've also added some zoning to these avenues, and I've put these large office buildings and also commercial buildings. I think they fit this type of area quite nicely. You usually find these large department stores away from the city center and on large avenues like these ones. And now that I'm looking at it, I think it's time for us to place a building that I've been meaning to place for a long time now, which is this large signature building. Where is it? This thing, the Morrissey supermarket, which I believe comes with the UK pack. And I'm gonna place it in this square because this is a reasonably large building. And I think it fits this location very nicely as well. Signature buildings provide a range of buffs to the city. So for example, this supermarket lowers the import costs by 1%, increases the attractiveness of the city, and also gives a happiness buff within 1 kilometer radius. These buildings are also free to place, and they provide a lot of jobs. So as you can see, this one has 220 positions. So it's always a good idea to place these whenever you have them available. I have quite a bunch of them available, and I need to make an effort to place them more often. Speaking of which, there's one particular building that I've been meaning to place as well, which is this Baltar Pines building, which is a row housing building, which I believe will look really great in this district that we have just created, mixed in with all the row housing that we had. It provides a happiness buff within 750 meters, so I think I want to put it at the central location, so probably around here. Perhaps right in front of the elementary school would be a good choice for it. So probably here. Yeah, that works for me. The last thing that I've done was unlock the water treatment plant and place it at the edge of the city. It has a lot of room to expand, which I'm not going to do yet because there's no need for it. But I think it's a nice place to put it. And with that, I have also disabled this thing, the sewage pipe that we had, the only sewage pipe in the city. I'm not gonna bulldoze it. I think I'm gonna keep it as a decoration. It doesn't cost anything because it's disabled, so it can serve as an old and abandoned service building. But that's enough chit chat. I wanna build the high school. That's one of the things that I said I wanted to do in this video. So I'm gonna put it right about over here in this area, so it's time for us to develop this layout towards this region. I think I wanna adapt the layout or the way this avenue is built. Perhaps I don't want it to be perfectly perpendicular to this road. and I want to make the layout a bit more interesting. So I'm going to draw a set of guidelines, so perhaps we can extend this road over here. And the distance that we have here is 160 meters. So let's go 160 all the way here. And I think this is where our avenue can converge. I have extended the grid to provide me a guideline, but now I think I'm going to bulldoze these little pieces of road here. And I'm going to connect this avenue segment with this avenue segment here. So let's extend it by 32 meters here. And 32 meters here as well. And now we can perhaps make a curve here. Okay, so something like this will work, I suppose. Let's finish up the rest of the grid. I've added this curve here to avoid the necessary intersections with this main avenue, but perhaps we can extend this road here just to provide a singular middle intersection. And let's keep going with the pattern that we already had with the grass and trees on the sides for this particular street. And I think I want to do that on this road as well. Now I think we can place our high school, and I'm going to go with the standard high school for this. I'm not going to place it directly against the avenue. I think I'm going to add an access road. So over here, I suppose, that will be a good place for it. Now I want to provide an access road with some parking on the sides. And I'll do the accesses to this avenue later on. At the moment I want to work on the layout for this thing first, which involves, of course, placing this super gigantic asset, which is the sports field, which takes a significant amount of space. And for that I need to come here and unlock the large sports park. And yeah, look how big this thing is. Maybe I don't want to put it right against this road. Perhaps here will be a good location for it, slightly off-centered and closer to the railroad. So let's make an infrastructure for that. I think I'm gonna extend the road here. And I also want to add some parking to this sports park. So if I add another road here, that should be plenty of space, yeah. And we can even scoot the road a little bit further back. Alright, there you go. And I really don't like the slope that this road created, so I'm going to rebuild this. Yeah, that seems acceptable to me. So now let's create some accesses, and perhaps I can add some residential area as well in this little area between the avenue and also the school. So I think I'm gonna grab the middle point of this road and extend it here. And I do the same thing here. And perhaps curve it around here and bring it all the way to this side. And this is where we can wrap it. Okay, so I had this combination of streets, and hopefully this area will turn out good when the houses are all built. Now we just need to connect this road here and finish up the layout. And as we're at it, I think this area is going to benefit from some more sports activities. We already have a track field, but perhaps we can add a couple of soccer fields. So a couple of soccer fields here. Yeah, that should fit this area quite nicely. I also think this entire region can be a premium area, so all of the roads need to be decorated with some trees and also some grass on the sides. Maybe not all streets though. I think this area right in front of the houses can be a road with some parking on the sides, or something like this. And now I've just noticed that I've built the wrong type of road here. I put a 4-lane, and what I wanted was a smaller road, such as this one, and the same thing over here as well. And this will force us to redo all of these roads. Okay, yes, so I think that works, and now we just need to figure out the layout on this side of the school as well. And I think making a road here connecting to this intersection is going to be a bit tight, so I think I'm going to do something else. I think I'm going to continue this avenue towards this area and go in between the sports center and also the railroad and extend the road towards this direction where we will eventually connect with this avenue to provide some more direct access. So I think I want to make a segment here, I suppose. And we'll figure out this connection later, but for the time being this will work. Okay, and now let's just extend this road over here as well. And the connection here to the high school can be done with a perpendicular road. Quite a straightforward connection. I also think I want to put a small roundabout here, just to make this area look a little bit better, and I think I also want to convert this road to a small avenue. I'm just going to use Anarchy here to go over the police station, and I want to align this road to the existing axis. I think I need to disable by clicking on that square. Yeah, I think this is it. Okay, and now I'm gonna relocate the police station. I just use Anarchy just so I had to relocate this police station twice because it costs a lot of money to do so. Look at that. We ended up making a connection to this roundabout after all. I also didn't notice at first, but there's a weird elevation gap here on both the sports field and also the soccer field, so I'll have to readjust this, which will take us a little bit of money. Okay, much better. This is now completely straight. And I think to make this thing much more safe and realistic, perhaps we can add these these keys, which will serve as a protective barrier, I suppose. Because now we can do something like this, for example, and expose the wall. And I think we can continue the key all the way through here, I suppose. Now we can just adjust this area to place our soccer fields. If I'm not mistaken, this thing has an access point on its backside. Yeah, there you go. See how the cement and grass textures have extended towards the pathway. So I suppose we can kinda make a custom park here. Perhaps we can decorate this area and outline this pathway with some trees. I suppose. Perhaps these coconut ones. Okay, the straight lines are easy. Then the remaining ones perhaps I can place manually. I could use the curved tool, but it's a small curve, so we can do it relatively fast. In between this gap, I think I want to add some flowers. Finally, to wrap this campus area, I think I'm just gonna add some trees. Not gonna go overboard with this, but I do want to add some trees like in between the avenue and the residential areas. Now I can also add some manually placed trees in strategic locations to make the area blend much better, because these types of buildings in city skylines just don't really look that well on curved roads. So I like to add these imperfections with trees. Finally, I think I'm gonna wrap up the zoning on this layout just to finish up this whole area. And I think I'm gonna reserve this small little space here for a city hall or the welfare center or something like that. So I'm just gonna zone on these blocks. And perhaps this wasn't such a good idea after all these little intersections. So I'm gonna delete it and remove the trees and the grass on the sides as well. Okay, cool, so this area is pretty much finished. I've also added this small parking lot to accommodate the drivers of this area, or the residents who drive a car. There's just one little thing that I want to do, which is add some access to this high school by creating a pathway that connects directly to this. And I want to grab a path right here and make a crosswalk over there and connect to this road. Okay, and with these, people can easily access the high school by foot if they happen to live here. Okay, so that looks pretty well. There's just one last thing that I want to do, which is address these ambulance icons. As I've mentioned, I'm gonna add an hospital to this area, but for the time being, I think I can also complement this with another medical clinic. And I think I'm gonna add it right on this curve. I think that will look really nice. And we have quite a bit of options here, but I think I'm just gonna add the standard medical clinic because the rooftop of this clinic combines and works very well with the roof of the high school. So I'm gonna place it right here. Okay, and now we can add an access road to it. Okay, so that works. Now let's add a small access road for garages and other extensions. Alright, but that's gonna be it for today. Quite a lot of progress. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'll meet you guys on the next one. Until then, bye bye.